Let's break the mold, start believing, and stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Welcome to Wild on 7, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
All right, welcome back. This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast, presented by Pilot Games. Boy, what a weekend it was for the Minnesota Wild. You've got a back-to-back with Columbus and Toronto. You go into Columbus, you beat them 2-0. You go up to Toronto. Toronto had been sitting there waiting, chomping at the bit. Ryan O'Reilly, former member of the Minnesota Wild, ready to go in Toronto. And the Wild, boy, they played a great game in Toronto. They end up losing that one 2-1 in overtime on a great play from Nylander. But then they come home and they've got another one, second game in 4 nights against Columbus. And it looked like Columbus was maybe going to steal one, and it was almost like circle this game at the end of the year. If the Wild don't get 2 points from this one, this game, or if they miss the playoffs, these 2 points will be the reason why. And then all of a sudden, our knight in shining armor, Kirill Kaprizov, decides, you know what, I've had enough. And then he just stole the show.
Yeah, we need to talk a lot about this. It is time in the state of hockey to name puppies and babies Kirill. That's just the beginning of where we need to start going with this. I want to see dogs named Kirill. I've yet to be like walking around my neighborhood and there's a dog named Kirill. Because if there was, you'd be like, oh, cool. Because of 97. And a baby, I think, is a good idea. Maybe you'll have another baby, boy or girl, name it Kirill. But I'm watching that game, and the thing I love about him is, I know McDavid's like this, modern day Gretzky. He's got all these points, but there's something about Kirill. He's just a winner. Like he wants to win so bad. I would call yesterday a messy hair game for Kirill. Did you notice his helmet was like constantly in flux and his hair was like sticking out all over, and he's smiling. And when they were scoring those goals, it was like a playoff game. I mean, they were going crazy. I just think there's something about him where he's just all about winning. And he has this mentality of like putting the team on his back, like truly like a Hart Trophy type guy. That's the way he carries himself. Do you agree with that? I mean, I think.
Yeah. Well, Dean Evison, he said this post-game yesterday that it's overtime and there's a face-off, and Kirill is out there with Zuccarello and a D-man, and he says Kirill tried to pull himself off the ice to say, we need a centerman to be able to take this face-off and snap it back. So I'm going to get off the ice. If we win it, then, I think the assumption was that Dean would put him back on the ice as soon as the centerman comes for a change. Dean's like, absolutely not.
There's no spot on the bench for you.
And Dean's like, and Kirill did play like 20, I think it was like 25 minutes. But Dean said it didn't matter. Like the guy, it's not like he was fatiguing. He was at a new level. And Dean said it was fun. Like you have a player like that on your bench where he's just going at a different level than anybody else. And he admittedly said too, like I wanted to just leave him out there for the full 5 minutes of overtime. I think he could have handled it. But the thing that I think we're learning about Kirill now, and he's special for a lot of reasons. But let's go back to Saturday, and in Columbus has a 4-0 lead on the Edmonton Oilers, and I think Kirill loves hockey. So I do think that
I think that might be the only thing he loves, and fishing maybe.
So I think he watches it. So he's aware of what Connor McDavid did in the second period of the Columbus game, and it was maybe the most impressive period of hockey that I've seen in a long time. And it was McDavid goes down 4-0, and then he flips a switch and says, enough. They pull their goaltender, Jack Campbell comes out, and then McDavid just goes postal, and he scores a couple, boom, 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 Draisaitl gets one, and then all of a sudden it's tied, like in the blink of an eye, 4-4. But third period rolls around, and this is in Columbus, the same exact team. I get it, they were at home though. Connor McDavid couldn't pull it out in the third period. Kirill Kaprizov can. I think he understands the stage. I think he saw what happened yesterday with McDavid, and he's motivated like, hey, special players steal games like this. They can do things like this. I want to be that. So the third period rolls around, down 2 goals. He flips a switch, and it's just like, I'm not going to be denied. But he does it in such a different way than McDavid that lends you to believe that he's a winner. And you're talking about the messy hair game. Like he's posted up net front like he's a power forward, 6'5", cross checks in the back. And
reverse hits.
Yeah. And
exploding Johnny Hockey.
To some degree, you have to be like, of course that goes in off of Kaprizov. Like Marcus Foligno's been sitting net front for 2 straight months and hasn't gotten that bounce where it goes. And we went slow-mo on the broadcast. It went off the D-man's shin pad,
and his
off
stick,
his shaft,
and
off his hip, off of Kaprizov, then off the goaltender, then in.
It was Plinko.
Yeah, of course, all of those bounces go in for Kaprizov, but you earn those bounces, right? And then, yeah, pretty remarkable power play, that 5-on-3 face-off as soon as it gets to him. And I don't know, just think about that face-off too. Some of it's luck, but some of it's just like these things happen to star players. A face-off win goes right through everybody to the backside, and then Kirill has a breakaway all by himself on an island. Like he's not going to score there to tie it. And then 3-on-2 OT, who's on the back door? It's Kaprizov. Like everything worked out. It was perfect. But he has a different level, and I think he understands, like, McDavid was special. He did it. I can do it. I'm motivated. But then he's also motivated because he wants to win. Selfless. I'll take myself off the ice. Just give me one more chance to win this. Goes out and does it.
I don't know what his comparables are, right? So the thing that's interesting is he plays like an ox. He's an ox. He's big. He goes to the dirty areas. We've heard the Crosby comparisons because it is true. Sid is in the snot bubble. He's on the walls. He's in all the places that are hard to play. But young Tarasenko was a little bit like that, where he was just an ox physically and a true goal scorer. But I don't know. Ovi, I think Kirill could end up being a person that really starts hitting people more. He seems to enjoy the violence. I'm still waiting. I really don't want a fight to happen because I don't want anything to happen to his hands. But you saw it with Gaudreau. I mean, they had a personal game within a game. If you watch Gaudreau's body language after the last goal, skating away, it was almost like he'd just go home and be like, "Yeah, this is a new." There's a new type of player in the league, and I don't have an answer for this, even though he's got a bag of money in his house. But he looked like personally violated. It was like, not only is Kirill going to steal this game, he's stealing it from your pockets every single time.
Let's just look at that reverse hit that he had on Johnny Gaudreau. So I said on the broadcast, it's like the Matrix, because this dude can just like download new moves and skills and then implement them in real time during the game. So it's like all of a sudden a reverse hit seems like a good idea right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just buy it on Xbox. Yeah. Buy it, whatever it is, $15 to get the new kit, just new speed.
Yeah. Just buy it. And he does it. And then all of a sudden he's got that in his repertoire. So go back to the goal he scored against Ottinger where he went off the side of his head and in.
Yeah.
We see him do it all the time now.
Cheat code.
Yeah. He like has all of these tricks that he's using, and he's getting better and better. It's unbelievable. But then Gaudreau in overtime, they had possession a couple times, and Gaudreau just threw it away. This is a guy that loves the puck on his tape.
He was spooked.
Right. He was
spooked.
He was defeated.
I don't know. Is he married or he has a wife? I just pictured him coming home and being like, I remember when Tiger first came out and Nicholas said something like, he plays a game that's unfamiliar to me. That's what he said after watching him golf. You have to come home from that game if you're Johnny Hockey. He's making his grilled cheese sandwich and his Chuck Foreman grill or whatever he's doing, and just be like, bad news. There's a new creature, and I don't know what to do about it, honey. You know?
So this creature, I think, is, and you talked about a messy hair game.
There's nothing better than a messy hair game from Kirill when it's just coming out of every hole, and they're all rubbing his head like a luck charm. I mean, he was like one of those trolls on a pencil where you just spin it.
I've been wanting to name this pad that pops out every once in a while because it only shows up when he's like
hyper mode.
When he goes ballistic,
light speed,
so he's like, it's like the light of Batman. Once you see that pad,
the bat signal,
you know something special.
And where is it again?
It's superpower.
It's on the side.
It's like a hip pad that I think is attached.
That pops loose.
Yeah, and it comes out, that little black pad. And he's like, I don't know if he's like the sixth Ninja Turtle because it looks like a little half shell. You know,
Cowabunga.
Yeah, little turtle in a half shell. So he goes out there, and we zoomed in on it with the broadcast camera yesterday, and it looks like it's gator skin or old, beat up, whatever it is. It actually looks like a Ninja Turtle shell too.
Great silent auction item if you could get that game worn.
If you see that, do not change the channel because
it's out.
Yeah, it's Batman's light. Something is about to happen. There is some superpower that is about to be deployed. I don't know if we went through it though. Yeah, for me, it might be the new Ninja Turtle.
I like that.
He's Minnesota's hero in a half shell. That little thing comes out. He tries to disguise it, but every once Cowabunga comes out.
He slides over the sewer cap and goes down underneath after the game, get some pizza. Can I work through some Kirill stuff with you quickly? So I know Dean's all about every player's equal, teammates, the whole deal, but these are just a few of the things going through my head yesterday watching this game. Keep in mind, I bet Kirill yesterday to have a hat trick. Never done that before because I watched the Columbus game a couple nights ago and was like, they have no answer for this guy, right? So hit that. I bet the Wild to win when they're down after 2 periods because I'm feeling it. They're not going to lose that game. These are some of the things going through my head. I still think about bringing Kirill's brother over here because if Kirill's this good, I don't know the last time his brother played hockey, but just throw him in the American League. Give him like 3 years. It's like if you were in White Bear Lake and there was a peewee kid that was a good athlete in another sport. Like, let's get Kirill's brother here. How much DNA do they share? I mean, they have to share some, so let's get him over here. I don't know that I would trade him for anyone, and I know that's a preposterous statement, but I don't know. I really don't know if I would. The guy's heart is as big as a.
I don't think.
I don't know.
What would you trade him for?
I wouldn't trade him for him. He's got the
list is on one hand.
So I know the people would say, but I just don't like them as much. I don't like the compete as much. This ox factor. He's big and strong. And he just seems to love hockey. It's like some of these other guys are kind of complicated, and this is just a guy from Siberia that wants to play hockey and loves to win. And I think Minnesotans can really get behind that.
And why Minnesotans should be thankful that this is the star they have, and I think this is a good point worth making. Let's think of some of the names that would be on that list that would make that statement preposterous. It's Connor McDavid.
Yep.
Maybe it would be Sidney Crosby. Would it be Austin Matthews?
Pasternak, Cale Makar, McKinnon.
Yeah, okay.
You'd start hearing some of those names, sure. But I
might be naive and blinded and have recency bias, but let's go through the warts of some of these others. Like McDavid's, he's obviously a great player, right? But if you're picking a team and you're saying, I want to win right now.
If we could play Edmonton in the playoffs, I'd be thrilled. Because I think we shut him down. And I know he's great, but I just think you shut him down, him and Draisaitl. You may not shut him down.
It's hard to shut down, but the supporting cast around him.
But you could win a series.
If you factor everything in and whenever you do that exercise, I think you have to take the contract and the salary cap with that player. So Kirill at $9 million is more valuable and better than Connor McDavid at $12 million and Draisaitl at whatever he's making, right? So that's your point, is that he can be shut down on his team. Kirill can't.
I mean, if you ever...
The 5-on-5 scoring for the Wild right now has not been great, and the support has not been there for Kirill, but he still can.
If you want to beat the Wild right now with the desert we've been going through, you stop 97.
How?
I don't know.
You can't.
I really don't know.
That's why it's not a preposterous statement, because you pick him over those guys, because as much as you try to stop him, you can't right now.
A couple random thoughts to finish the Kirill Appreciation Society. I wish there was more products. Like, you know how Ovi had the yellow laces and the tinted shield? Like, we need a breakfast cereal, like Opa's. Like, we can buy I mean, Doug Flutie plays like 2 good games for the Buffalo Bills, and there's already a breakfast cereal for him. Like, how do we, like, I wish there was a sport drink. Like Kirby Puckett had a candy bar. I want to consume Kirill. I want to be able to go buy like a Russian licorice, called Kirill sticks. Like, I mean, I don't know what his agent, I don't know how this works, but I want to be able to I want Opa's cereal.
We sat down with him and
General Mills can make.
We sat down with him for a Post It Up, and we made crepes.
Yeah, I would go buy crepes and borscht.
Let's remember the chunky soup.
Yeah,
with the football players,
all those guys.
Yeah, let's get borscht in a can, homemade.
Absolutely.
Borscht might be the new food of Minnesota.
And you sell it for 97 cents. It's just a can of borscht, 97 cents. So this is my last thought. I'd really like to have Kirill sleep over, and I'm in like a top bunk, and he's in the lower bunk, and we just talk all night.
So you want to be Zuccarello? Yeah,
and then I don't know if the
and you want him to be your kid's godfather.
I think the translator's sitting on a chair, and I'm like, do you ever watch the movie Miracle? And then the translator's asking Kirill, and then we go back up there.
What movie would you watch with him?
I think it would be fun to watch
Rocky and be like, is this what it's actually like in Russia? Do you guys actually train like this?
Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Miracle would be about the same, but so that's enough on 97. I think we're all working through it.
Before we turn the page on that last game, there's a couple other things that I thought were impressive. So Dean Evison decided, and the Wild weren't great through the first two periods. He decided that the staff wasn't going to go in and address the team after 2 periods. So a lot of times the coach will come in and he'll give you your
players
speech.
Only after 2?
Kind of, but it's not like there's different kinds of players only. That's players close the door, coaches, you stay out.
Yep.
There's different ones where the coach is like, there's nothing here for me to tell you guys. I told you before the game, I told you after the first, on the bench I've been reinforcing, don't turn the puck over. You're not playing good enough. You're not doing what I said. I'm not going in there. I'm not doing it again. You guys figure it out. It's on you now.
So that's what he did yesterday.
Yep, didn't go in there.
And didn't you know they were going to win though? I was sitting at our cabin 61 right by your house, and I knew, I'm like, Columbus is losing this game. We're going to win this game. Did you have that feeling when you were doing the game or not?
I did.
I was like, there's no way we lose this game.
I did. Part of it was I was referencing in my own mind that they gave up a 4-goal lead the day prior, and Elvis played a good game, but his numbers for the year were not good. It's things looked like they could.
So many shots, too.
How about this?
70 attempted shots.
So Dean, again, I think has got his finger on the pulse of the club. Doesn't go in after the second. Knows what the team needs and what they need to do, how to get it out of them. They flip a switch. Kirill, the star, goes into beast mode, and they end up taking it in overtime, 3-2. That's a fantastic move by the coach. But how about this one? The Wild are starting to get there. Like, bring the chains out. Let's get these chains out. They're getting the mojo back from last year. They led the league in multi-goal comeback wins last year. The first one of the season was yesterday for the Minnesota Wild. Amazingly, they're the last team in the NHL to record a multi-goal comeback victory. That came yesterday.
I'm fine with that.
They're clicking at the right time. We're
playing playoff hockey. Even that Toronto loss, that's a playoff hockey game.
That was a playoff hockey game.
And hey, what did you think of? I want to give Middleton some love. I know he was playing the PK with Brodin out, but he's another guy I just think we're going to love more and more as the playoffs, approach. But did you like his game and diving and knocking pucks away? Good stick, flying around. What did you think of our friend Jake and his fanny pack?
What I think is valuable when you lose guys is that somebody else has to step in and they have a chance to show you what they're capable of. And from a coaching perspective and a management perspective and even the fan perspective, you can see what these guys can bring and what they're capable of. So no Brodin, that has elevated Middleton to a bigger role on the penalty kill. And Ken the penalty kill, which has been an absolute heater, 10 perfect games in a row, 24, 25 straight kills, successful kills. Can they keep it going? Missing key cogs like Brodin. And then you have a guy like Middleton that steps in and he makes big plays, blocking shots. I think there was a 2-on-1 attack near the net and he laid down long body, good stick, broke it up is the one you're referencing. The battle level was there. So, I mean, I think the Wild, they should be comfortable in knowing that they've got Middleton, a guy that can step in there, kill penalties, and at no point is it going to set you back or are you going to be nervous whatsoever for it.
He's in a lot of hug photos too. I think if you're a player and you just go on the Wild's Instagram and just look at goal celebration posts and see how many you're in, right? Like Hartman's been in a lot lately. You see that mustache in there from Middleton. You know, when you're on the ice, when good things happen, I think, and you're making some of them happen, but I think it's been great to watch.
And well, Bill had media availability yesterday before the deadline to kind of talk about the plan as it approaches.
Yeah, I'd like to hear
Deadline
about
approaches
this.
on Friday, and
Billy the banker.
Well, he talked about Matt Dumblin. We'll get into some of this, but where I was going is with Middleton, and he said, it's kind of, and he didn't say dumb, but he's like, you can't look around the league and then place a number value on a defenseman like he's a top 4 D-man or he's a number 1 or number 2 D-man. He says, Jake Middleton, nobody in the NHL would sit here and say Jake Middleton is a number 2 defenseman. But he is, because he is on our team, and he plays alongside Jared Spurgeon, and they're our top group. So he's a number 2, a D-man, and our team, and it works for us, right? I think that's a pretty big endorsement for
It's
Jake
the old,
Middleton.
not looking for the best players, looking for the right ones, right?
Yeah, but Jake
Kirby
Middleton is good at what he does and does it for the team, and that gives him the opportunity to be good and fall into that category, a label of a number 2 defenseman. So, yeah, he's been playing, I think, some really good hockey lately.
You know, one of the things I wanted to hear is, before you talk about Billy, do you think Billy's constructing something at the trade deadline? Do you think he's in the process of building something?
I think he is building something, but before we get into what Billy might be building, we should probably get into what everybody else should be building. Hopefully you're listening to this in the comforts of your own home and that it's dry and that you're comfortable under your own roof. But if for some reason you are uncomfortable with the 10 to 20 inches of snow that you recently received, with the rain that's coming down today, the cold weather behind it, if your roof can handle the ice, if the shingles are up to the task, and if at any point you are nervous about that, you should probably call our friends at Wild Construction. They are masters and experts in roofs, siding, insulation. They're a locally owned company. They are client-focused, ensure satisfaction, and they pride themselves on working with the clients, making it a great experience. Check these guys out, wildconstructionmn.com. They will make it happen. Make sure you're comfortable with that house, that roof. wildconstructionmn.com.
You know, I think one of the things, I don't know if we need to make a move or not make a move, but I've been sleeping pretty well with the last few wins and just kind of how having these dreams of sugar plums and Kirill in my head. But if you are someone that isn't sleeping well, maybe one of the 30 million people with sleep apnea, I would encourage you to visit mygemsleep.com/wild. I know you're hesitant about that. You think it might be a lot of work. It's like, no, man, this is a concierge service. They'll come to you. They'll make it easy. They'll figure out what your situation is. And when you improve your sleep, you have more energy. It's going to improve your relationships, and you're going to be healthier. You know, blood pressure, heart rate, all this stuff is connected. So if you're not sleeping well and if you're crabby, check out mygemsleep.com/wild. That's Gem Sleep.
I got to tag this one because my mother, as part of the people at Gem Sleep, wanted somebody in your family or close to us to experience this. And my mother's Fitbit, I've talked about this. It told her that she's not sleeping well. Intermittently, she wakes up. So I said, hey, Mom, would you be willing to try this? She says, yes, sure, that works. She gets the home kit sent to her. She has the test. She says it's the easiest thing ever. She didn't have to go to a hotel, didn't have to sleep somewhere out of her normal environment, right at her own house. She sent the results. Less than 24 hours later, she got her report back, which I have to add says that she not only has sleep apnea, but severe sleep apnea.
Really?
And then just hours after that, she gets a call from a care technician from Gem Sleep to explain the whole thing so that she understands what it all means. And then they recommend the treatment. that she needs. So now she needs equipment to help with her severe sleep apnea. They recommend it, and now they're shipping it right to the house. She never had to leave the house. I called her this morning and said, Mom, I need to know about this. We're talking about the ad today. She says, Ryan, it's the easiest thing I've ever done. I am so happy. It was top
It's like the Grubhub of sleep.
They are a wonder to work with. And that is that.
Wow.
I'm excited about it because
what's your mom going to be like if she's more... Imagine like you already love your mom and she's been a great mom, but she's been restless and crabby for her whole life probably. Imagine now it's like your mom's going to be like Mrs. Brady.
Right.
Like she'll probably start making cookies.
Sunday dinners.
God, you're going to have a great run. Congrats to you and your new mom.
Yeah.
That's great. Hey, so what do we think Billy's going to do here? I got two sides of the story, right? Well, there's three things: buyers, sellers, banker. You know, we've been getting a lot of this nationally. We've been getting a lot of attention for being a banker, right? We're funding different things. I know Patrick Kane's going to need to get some cash handled by another team if he wants to go on the Rangers. So, what do you think? What are we going to do at the trade deadline here?
Well, I don't think that there's a set plan. It's not written in stone, because I think that there are opportunities and it's a fluid situation. And
it's this week, right? What is the exact deadline?
It's Friday.
Friday at noon?
It's
5 maybe?
Afternoon. I think it's like 3 or 4 in the
Rice, can you
afternoon.
check that? But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. What do you think? How do you think it plays out?
Okay,
do we bring one big guy in maybe or nothing?
Okay, so let's just look at the guys that have been tossed out there. Matt Dumba, is he going to be traded? Bill Guerin said if he cannot guarantee one thing or another, but he said if he were to place a bet, he would place a bet that Matt Dumba is a member of the Minnesota Wild after the trade deadline.
He loves Dumba. He's loved him since his big hit in Game 6 against Vegas. He's a emotional leader of the club. I really think Billy's a Dumba fan and has been for some time.
I do too, and he said that Matt Dumba's been playing some of his best hockey lately, and I think Bill Guerin is right in that regard. The assessment is there. That's just not GM speak trying to pump up the value of a guy. That truly is the case. But you all of a sudden ran into a situation the last couple of games where you were without Brodin and you were without John Merrill, and those things happen. So let's say,
especially in the playoffs.
Let's say all of a sudden you get rid of Matt Dumba. You're without, in some situations, you might be without Brodin, Dumba, John Merrill. Who comes up and plays? Dakota Merms came up and played great, but who's next after him? You need a couple more, right? So the defensemen are valuable. Right shot defensemen may be even more valuable. So I think, and he said that it might take a little bit of a haul to move Matt Dumba. What that means, I don't really know. But so we'll see on that one. Would they like a scoring forward? I think the answer is yes.
So historically, and we don't have a long body of work here, but Billy's been a pretty flashy guy at the deadline. Mm-hmm. He's the kind of guy that if you look at his track record from last year, you know, you would almost expect him to pull a rabbit out of a hat. All of a sudden, Patrick Kane's coming here. Something, you know, a marquee name joining the squad. He's done that. Even with Reeves coming here, kind of an interesting player. Fleury last year. Do you think that there's a chance that one of these bigger names lands here? Or I even heard Billy yesterday, I think, starting to change the tone, kind of, you know, there's another powerful thing you can do by just saying to the room, like,
you're good.
We're rolling with this. This is, you know, it's the Herb Brooks, you know, he'll make us better, but I'm sending him home today. This is our group. This is our group. Look around the room. If we're going to do it, this is our group. I don't know. I mean, he sounds like he has some room cap-wise, but I don't know what he's going to do.
Let's go, because the phrase "weaponizing his cap" has popped up a few times, and
people are saying he's good to work with because it's happened twice now, where he's been the third party.
Yeah, and I think that there's a couple ways to look at that too. So we can go off on a tangent here. I think what Billy Guerin is a good guy to other agents too. You help facilitate this deal. You're easy to work with. GMs will now listen when you want a player on that team.
For sure.
And so forming relationships, accumulating assets, not trying to rob the bank. I think they got a 4th round pick in the O'Reilly trade, and that cost them $74,000 or whatever it might have been. Then they got a 5th round pick in the Orlov trade that cost them $86 or $86,000. So the cost went up, but the return went down. But that's the market value for something like that. To be a broker in that situation, it's a mid-round pick. So the Wild accumulate 2 of those, but in the meantime, they make 4 friends. You know,
I'd be scared to trade with Billy for that reason. Doesn't it just seem like he chums you up? Everybody likes Billy G, and then you just get abused.
I don't think Billy. So I don't think Billy's intent is to fleece anybody.
No,
Look at
but
the contracts that he hands out. His whole mantra and body
Is
of
fair.
work is fair.
Be fair.
I want to be fair to you. I'm not going to throw some ridiculous trade at you. And I don't know. I'm not on any of these calls. But just if you look at the body of work, everything that he has done is fair. Now, I do think when it comes to trades, he will be opportunistic, which I think he has been as the third-party broker and weaponizing the salary cap. So getting back to what he wants to do, yes, he would love to have a scorer at the deadline, but they're starting to fall. Like you don't, I think it was Dallas went and got Dadonov. Gurianov went back the other way. Those guys seem like they're off the market. And there's been a couple of Barbashev went to Vegas. Meyer went back over. I don't think they were ever going to be able to get Meyer, but some of these true like rental scorers are starting to go different places, and the return on them is too high. And I think that there's been probably interest, at least phone calls gone one way or the other on if these guys are available, but the price has been too high. And will Bill Guerin get one of those guys and make a big splash in the 11th hour of the deadline? I think so. I think he's preserving cap space to be able to say, hey, if you can't make the numbers work in this regard, here, this is what I'm willing to give you. I'm not going to pay you what Tampa just paid for Tanner Jeannot or what Jersey paid for Timo Meyer, because I don't want to leverage my future to make this team good right now. And I don't think that that's an indictment on the team right now. I think that's him preserving the assets that he's accumulated. He doesn't want to just all the hard work that he's built up over the last 3 years, accumulating draft picks, prospects, number 1 rated prospect pool, just to say, all right, we got a team that's in the wild card spot. Let's take a chance at it and go all in right now. It doesn't seem like the go all in spot, so he's being patient in this regard. But he'll be opportunistic. I really do believe that.
Let's talk about the East for a little bit. This arms race that's going on. I mean, can you imagine you're Toronto? You haven't won a playoff series in ages, and you're going to end up lining up against Tampa Bay in the first round. You're the Rangers. You've built the Avengers of hockey. You got to play Jersey now in the first round, right? Boston. I mean, it's interesting in that I think a Western team could almost lay in the weeds, and by the time the Eastern team comes out for the Cup, I think it's going to be a Monty Python movie. They're going to have one leg, no arms, and be trying to play for the Cup final. And I just think it's going to be a bloodbath out East. I mean, some of these teams that are going to be eliminated in the first round, and all the trades they're making, every one of these teams is loading up. The Bruins taking Orlov and the other kind of fighter guy from Washington. The Devils adding. The Rangers might add Tarasenko and Kane. I mean, it's crazy.
The Rangers might be the only ones, though, that are taking on, or I should say they're the ones taking on the most risk. Because the other big deals, I think Meyer's going to be signed. I think he's an RFA or whatever it is. So these teams that are paying for their assets, they're going to be able to maintain and keep these assets in the future. Like Tampa getting Jeannot, he's going to be a member of the Lightning for years to come. It's not like a true rental where you're just paying a first-round pick like O'Reilly in Toronto.
Yeah.
But that's a little different too. Like, are you going to be able to keep O'Reilly? Is he going to fit under your cap? You don't really know. But a lot of these teams are not only placing their bet because they think they can help win this year, but they're protecting themselves a little bit and giving up a lot of assets in return to be able to say, this is a player that we're going to be able to keep and it will make sense in our fold for years to come. It's not just a flash in the pan, 20 games, it's going to playoff race. But I think you're absolutely right. All the attention right now is on the East. And the West might be the most intriguing of the two conferences for that reason.
Wide open.
It's wide open. I talked about it yesterday too. You go back to 2012, it was LA that snuck into the playoffs as the 8th seed. And then they were good stingy team, Sutter team. They didn't lose a playoff game on the road until the finals. And that's what the West could be right now. 8th seed could make it all the way to the finals. And really, it's a sprint all the way to the end. I mean, there's nobody that's running away with it. Colorado all of a sudden seems like they're
going to be scary in the end.
They're starting to wake up a little bit.
Games in hand.
But I don't think that they're as good as they were last year. They might be able to accumulate points and get home ice, but I don't think that they're as dominant as they were last year. I don't.
It's interesting. If you think of our mirror image in the East, I think it's Carolina, right? Carolina is the team that we're the most similar to. When we're at our best and we play wild hockey, I think it's similar to how Carolina plays. And they're another team that's doing exactly, like no one knows what their move's going to be. They haven't added anything. Everybody's waiting to see. They're probably going to do something splashy at the end. But it is interesting how these two teams are, I think that's Billy, like opportunistic is such a good word for him. I think he's just waiting. And if it's good, it's good. If it's good, he'll make a move. Right. If not, we're pretty good. We'll see how we do.
But I think he's one of those guys that went to the ATM. He's going to the blackjack table, but he went to the ATM first, and then he left the ATM card at home. So he's got he's got as much as he has. He's got his couple $100 that he's willing to lose right there, or willing to spend. And then if it doesn't fit, if it's more than that, I'm out. If it fits within that, I'm good. And you might have to wait till his last hand. The wife's giving you the tap. It's time to go to bed. You finally get your ace. You double down or you split whatever it is, whatever the hand you want there. You split it. You go for it. You run with it. I think that might be the play and what Billy does.
Be exciting to see what happens this week. Hey, did you think Reeves was going to go with Gulbranson?
Gulbranson? You got that name in the head now?
Well, that's Luke Gulbranson. He's got the same name as the Bravo guy?
No,
What's his first name?
This
Eric?
one's Goodbranson. Yeah.
Goodbranson. They are so big. That's one of the few, actually Suter bumped Reeves in a game a little bit the other day, but I noticed when 44 kind of bumped into Reeves, that he was big enough to move him, and I was thinking, if these two guys fight, I mean, we might have fault lines in the ice. I mean, it just would be scary, I think, like orbital bones going everywhere. Does he fight at all?
Oh, yeah.
So that would be unreal to see those two guys go. I thought we were going to get it. Did you ever think that was going to happen? Or
I thought it was.
That's a heavyweight.
I thought there was a chance. That was the end of the second.
Yeah, they were.
And again, that might go into why Dean didn't go into the room. So you have a situation like that that's a little fiery, a little bit of, the underdogs challenging the big guy, because that's Ryan Reeves there. Ryan Reeves he's big man on campus, and Goodbranson's, he's a tough cookie, but he's not Ryan Reeves.
He's a big human, though.
Yeah, he's a big dude, and he will drop him, but he's not like a heavy like Reeves. So I thought maybe there would be a statement fight early on in the third period. It didn't materialize. And maybe that's because Goodbranson needed to play, and maybe Columbus's coaching staff was like,
yeah, we need you for 5 minutes. Don't go in the box.
Right, because I think he led all skaters in minutes played.
Yeah.
That's not normal for him. That blue line for Columbus is beat up, but I do think that was going to be the case. But it's a nice, interesting segue here, because I want to talk about the Jeannot trade for that very reason. The physical side of the game, and I sent a tweet out yesterday, and I've said this on the podcast before, that I believe that the NHL is cyclical. And Tampa won a cup with scoring depth, and they did it differently than everybody else. It was Braden Point, Stamkos, Kucherov. They drafted well. Yes, the talent they had is, you can say that's the reason. They didn't do anything profound. They just had good players. That's true. But what they tried to do is have 4 scoring lines, and they had depth scoring, and they came at you, and they were willing to try to win a game 5-4 instead of 3-2, and they win a cup. So then the copycat league starts to show up, and then that's what everybody thinks. Okay, this is the new template. So now Colorado is reloading that way, and it's interesting now that Tampa goes out and gets Jeannot and pays a haul, and they're getting criticized greatly for this.
Yeah, bewildered GMs.
Yeah,
I mean, that when you make a trade and it's trending, bewildered GMs. That's when you know people are trying to make sense of it. And you're saying it's coming back to physicality.
So it's intriguing, because all of a sudden now you have a situation where physicality was
taboo.
Yeah, it was, and it was, I don't know, exercised out of the game a little bit. It was, you go through the concussion era, guys were getting hit, they want to remove that from the game, and rightfully so, to where people didn't understand how to play, guys were getting fined, but now that it's starting to be fine-tuned, and the physical side of it is starting to show up again. Right. And you think about it, you have a guy, and Janot's one of those guys that he is a dude that would go to toe with a Marcus Foligno. I don't know about a Ryan Reeves, but I bet you he'd answer the bell.
Well, he's like a Kachuk brother. I mean, he just doesn't, he's fearless.
Right.
To your point, it's a shift.
They're switching.
It's 7th Street Savages.
They're changing it again. And I think it's good if you're a Wild fan, because think about the return you could get right now, and not saying that this is on the table. If Tanner Jeannot went for that, and that's that valuable in today's game, what is Marcus Foligno worth, right? Marcus Foligno is a better version of Tanner Jeannot. Tanner Jeannot is younger, cheaper, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and you can get into why they paid so much, because he's got a small qualifying offer and the money and this and that. You can get into all those details. But the main point is the physicality is coming back. And think about it. If there's a man standing between you and what you want, and that man is skilled and fast, what do?
I'm so confused if this is supposed to be a Jimmy salad dressing.
No, it's not.
That's a
my
joke.
point. My point is,
you go through them.
Yeah. Or you say, okay, I've got to. There's no fear. You're like, yeah, you're fearful of those guys and their skills, but you're not like, I'm intimidated, I don't want to do this. You have a dude that says, I'm going to punch you in your face. You try to come between me and that Stanley Cup, I want to punch you in your face. Well, you all of a sudden have fear, and you think about that. Yeah. You think, like, how bad do I really want to go get that cup?
And that's what Tanner Jeannot is. We talked about this ages ago on the podcast. He's a kick your grandmother down the stairs guy.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to get the cup. And
I just find it, I find it interesting. There might be a shift in the NHL right now to where it's coming back. Physicality's coming back. And if that is the case, the Wild are in a great spot, because look at what they have built.
Most PIMs. We're
Middleton, Foligno, Reeves, like Bill Guerin, and you've talked about this, Steve Yzerman, another great mind in hockey. He likes the big guys too.
He's collecting giant defensemen.
Yeah.
He's waiting for the shift as well, back to the Redwoods. 7th Street Savages, I'd be down for that. I like violence. I'd actually like more of it. I know Billy likes it too. You remember when we asked him his favorite game of the year, and he said the Philly game, when there was like 17 guys in the box. Foligno's wearing like an undershirt. But
Savages, but you're right, Savages do need to be well fed.
Yes, they do. And
they need solid nutrition.
I would say perhaps chunky blue cheese dressing would be something that a bunch of bloodthirsty hockey players over in the 651 area code would enjoy. Minnesota brand, Crazy Uncle Jimmy invented this stuff. It's now being run by the grandkids. You can find it usually it's in like the refrigerated section, which I think is kind of cool for like a hockey brand. But find the chunky blue cheese dressing, maybe mix it with French, put it on a buffalo dip as we go down this stretch drive. We're past the dog days now. We're into you can taste it. We got a couple games coming up against the Flames. We could potentially extinguish them. We're getting close to the playoffs here. So load up on some Jimmy's blue cheese dressing. Don't ya be messing with my dressing.
Nailed it.
That was good. It was like Livy Dunn sticking a bars routine. Just bam.
Yeah. And fighting and being physical can be taxing, so you need to stay on top of your hydration. One way to do that is to drink good quality water. And listen, so I was taking a shower today, actually, and the smell of like hard water?
Yep.
Where a little rusty to it.
Bad, like a drinking fountain in middle school.
Yeah. So I had that coming through the shower today, and it just was not pleasing whatsoever. I'm used to the good stuff, and there are some things that you can check out throughout my house. And sure enough, I went to one of the bathrooms, and the toilet flapper was running. So all of a sudden the water was draining. So then the filter system was taxed, and I was starting to get hard water through the shower. Point being, if you're having any concerns with your water system at home, Aquarius Home Service, they offer a free water analysis. Get rid of that white scale buildup, the orange rust stains, the strong odors that I had in the shower, the funny taste, whatever it might be. The Connecticut water treatment systems provide the world's most efficient water softener, and they provide the best reverse osmosis systems. That's what I have at the counter. That's my favorite there is.
I
But
like how hands-on you are with your water. You're
Aquarius-
always like digging into the toilet.
my water's terrible. That's why.
Yeah, you do live in apparently Chernobyl, but it's your own deal.
Aquarius believes in earning the right to be recommended. They're just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com. Boom.
Good job. I got a little local color story. So I had to film a quick thing with Garen last week, and they didn't really have a super, like, I was kind of, the time shifted, so it was 6 o'clock before the Kings game at home. And I get a pass to go downstairs into the Zamboni tunnel. And I had never been down in the bowels of Excel right before a game. I did not realize that they're still playing sewer ball at like 6:10 for a 7 o'clock game. And I had this moment. I couldn't get where I needed to go without going through the LA Kings sewer ball game. And it's in the middle, the ball's up and, they don't want it to go down. And I was just thinking, from your point of view, the ball almost hit me and it almost disrupted the sewer ball game and it would have like broken their streak, whatever they were trying to do. And then I thought to myself, can you imagine just swatting it down?
WWHD.
What
would Hartman do?
He would, right? I mean, if that ball,
What would Hartman do?
if I just kind of caught it and walked by with the ball,
You'd have to look them after.
But
or
I was
kick it down
terrified.
the hallway further and then just don't acknowledge it.
because it was kind of a moment where I turned around the corner and then you were like already on stage. Like I didn't have the choice. I was just in the middle of the sewer ball game. The ball was already in the air. But I do regret, I felt like I should have done what would Hartman do. I should have just kneed the ball and then just not say a word and just walk a little bit faster away. It was a missed opportunity. We didn't need it in the end. We did take care of business against the Kings, but that's the first time I've been in that situation. And then the weird thing is, you go 5 feet further and the Wild are playing sewer ball right next to them.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. Like if you're Fiala, I mean, you're right next to your old teammates. It's just bizarre. I mean, you would know all that. You were a former NHL player. So.
Sewer ball, that's the soccer game. For those people that don't know,
Yeah.
it's
I
two
think
touch.
that's what they call it.
Yeah, sewer ball.
Two-touch or-
It's 2-touch. You got to keep the ball up. You get 2 touches. You got to pass it, so the ball has to stay in the air. You sit in a semicircle and you do your best. But that's like the most common warm up there is. But yeah, you should have messed with it. You ever wonder, like, hey, maybe I had an impact on that game because I threw off their whole routine.
Yeah, or
Like disrupted their day.
And then to see Garen right afterwards, and I didn't say anything to him, but I said to Sicky, the PR guy, was like, hey, I just about blew up a whole sewer ball game for the Kings. And he was like, good, but I didn't. I chickened
Those
out.
little mind games.
I was alone though. They could have turned on me. I don't know, the Quinton Byfield, they got some guys. It could have got ugly for me if I snapped one back. I do regret it though. Next time, maybe I'll get down there with one of those passes, all access.
You're going to be scheduling all your meetings with Billy now for 6:30.
6 p.m., right? Hey, Duhaime, to finish your, how do you end up with 7 goals and 1 assist? He's going for the Cy Young here, right? This is a pretty much a story, isn't it? How does he have 7 goals and 1 assist?
I don't know. That's
amazing.
That is impressive.
That's not easy to do.
No, it's not. But that probably has something to do with the fact that a lot of people in the bottom 6 are just struggling to get points. Like Jordan Greenway cannot buy
they
one.
took the point away.
Yeah,
Second assist.
They just will not give him a point. It's been 20 games without one. Like that is remarkable. And you look at his body of work, like the average is much higher than that. So it's just like a stretch of like nobody's scoring. That fourth line hasn't scored a goal, and Will Reeves hasn't scored a goal in a Wild sweater. Dewar hasn't scored. Shaw hasn't scored. Duhaime was playing with those guys. Like, how are you going to pick up an apple here and there? It's just not going to happen. Duhaime then all of a sudden comes up to the third line. He's playing with Eriksson Ek or not Eriksson Ek, but Gaudreau and stuff. So now they're playing with the puck a little bit, and he's been able to find a few. So he's got to be happy about that. But Duhaime, yeah, what would we call him? Would that be a relief version of the Cy Young? Because Marchenko in Columbus, he is running away
What is he?
with
Is
the
he
Cy Young.
20 goals and 3 assists, or what does he have?
16-1.
That's outstanding.
16 goals, 1 assist.
Yeah, this would be more of a middle reliever, long reliever.
Long reliever.
7-1 is pretty good. I mean, that's a good. If Joe Ryan started this season 7-1 for the Twins, he'd be pretty happy.
Do you think that we've done Fleury dirty?
So us on the podcast?
No, the Wild
fan
fans.
base?
Wild fans.
Yeah, because I think the Wild were very volatile and nervous. And the style that Fleury plays is harder for a nervous fan base. Yeah, so I think they're harder on him.
So Fleury, if you've tracked this, the Vegas game, I think he got a Bronx cheer. So they dump a puck in from the neutral zone. He's able to catch it with his stick and steer it to a D-man, and they give him the old, hey.
Yeah, that's no good.
And I think some people were yelling, retire, and he caught it, and he gave like a cordial, like, I understand, I get it kind of wave.
Yeah, don't do that.
But then he goes back and he addresses it later, and he says, you know what, that hurt. That really stung. And I don't blame the people, but that bothered me and it motivated me. So all of a sudden he comes out, the first chance he's able to get the net since then was against Columbus, pitches a shutout. And he was good. He was good that game. Comes back, wins his second in a row against Columbus, and the haters are going to be like, that's Columbus. Settle down
what he
a little
should
bit.
do?
But are we doing him dirty?
He should pitch a shutout, and then he should have the trainer give him roses, and he just puts it over the glass and gives it to a fan. Because I think it's interesting watching him play. Even yesterday, he does seem to be more controlled, if you will. A lot of times with Fleury, you see him kind of sliding around a little bit, and so I don't know. I mean, I think if you could ask the Minnesota fan base if they would put a shooter tutor in net, the board, because they can't handle it, because they're just so nervous. I think that's the reason that they're hard on Fleury. Is he's more dynamic. He's sliding around. He's some might say out of position sometimes, but that's the style he plays. We said it, at his greatest. He's a painter where you see the brush strokes, and Gus is more like, Alexa, play Paul McCartney.
Right.
I mean, he's much more safe. And so I think that's a Minnesota problem, not a Marc-Andre Fleury problem. I hope he likes it here and he's not taking that too much to heart, because that's just a bunch of fans that are really nervous.
No, and I think he's going to end up being the guy down the stretch, and Gus's numbers are great, and they've been able to rely on him, but we'll see it. If it's a rotation right now, I still think that Marc-Andre Fleury might start to pull ahead a little bit the final 20 games. But the goals that are going in against him, and I don't know if the Wild need to or should address it,
they're always tipped and stuff.
They're always tipped, and they always end up going 5-hole.
And it's
so
like
whether they don't
he has
get
no chance. It's like it's a second. It's 2 feet in front of the net, tipped. But if a goal is tipped, you gotta just. It's an impossible save for the goal.
And that's why I'm wondering: do you change your style of play when he's in net? Like, do you front shots instead of like try to tie up a stick of a guy in front of you? Do you try to block it? Like, let him deal with it? Because what's going on is guys are on the defenseman's on the back side of the forward, and that forward's able to get their stick on a puck and tip it. Now, that forward's not able to turn around then because the D has body position and get any type of rebound, so there's no second chance opportunity, but these tips are finding their way through the 5-hole. So Marc-Andre Fleury's getting ready to make that first save. It's tipped down low, 5-hole, and that could just be a string of bad luck where they're all going 5-hole, but for sure, 3 or 4 of the last handful of goals that have gone in are 5-hole tips.
I think for sure you should play a little bit different in front of your net if Fleury's playing versus Gus. They're completely different goaltenders. And those little nuances could make a world of difference.
Right.
And you just ask him, Fleury, what drives you nuts? Because I guarantee those teams in Pittsburgh when he won cups, Vegas when he went to the cup finals, they made an adjustment. There's a way to play defense in front of Fleury that's most advantageous to that style of goaltending. But they've both been great. They're both over 900 save percentage. I mean, we've got 2 good goalies, and that's a good thing.
So I don't think Billy will be getting a goalie at the deadline. Really don't. It just doesn't seem like it's happening. Do you think, if you're placing a bet right now, do you think they roll with the roster they have, or do you think you pick somebody up?
I think we have at least one new Wild player by the end of the week.
I do too. But my bet is they somehow try to find a scoring winger, if possible, on the discount rack.
Too much
Marshalls,
money there
something.
not to spend some of it.
Yeah.
He's going to get to the blackjack table.
Right.
We're here.
Till it's here.
Peace.